Politics. Three brothers who live in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and we love Virginia business and politics. Conrad Shesviner is our booking agent. If you'd like to appear on our show, contact Conrad. Jose Cruz is our business bully. If you'd like for your business to be featured on the show, contact Jose. I'm Seko Varner, your producer. Shouts to our sponsors, beginning with Tally and Twine. It's time for a high-quality watch from Tally and Twine. That's tallyandtwine.com. Thanks to Southern Volkswagen Greenbrier for all the great sponsorship you've provided. If you're looking for a new car, you don't need to go far. Southern Volkswagen Greenbrier. Ladies, you want your brows to make people say, wow. So you need microblading from IamLitaWe.com. That's IamLitaWe.com. I'm Seko Varner, and I provide credit fixes, tax resolution, private money lending, and debt consolidation through Positive Vibes Financial. Contact me for your needs. And Conrad Shesviner is running for VB City Council. Good luck to Conrad. And now it's time to get beachy on the Beach Brothers Show. Right, time to get beachy, y'all. Time to get beachy. How are you doing, VA? Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody.
Well.
Good well. Hey, man, Conrad, November 3rd is coming up pretty soon. Good, brother.
Yeah, man.
Indeed. I'll drink to that.
What are you drinking, as a matter of fact?
This is a new Extract Energy, which is a CBD-infused energy drink made right here in Virginia Beach.
All right, good stuff. So we're enjoying Virginia Beach while we're living in Virginia Beach. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Indeed.
Excellent. And it gives you energy as well. Hold it up one last time. Hold it up.
And that's Extract Energy.
And it's made here in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Wow. Excellent.
Interesting.
Excellent.
I'm going to have to try it out.
Yeah, time to get my energy up, man. I can wake wifey up in the middle of the night. Yo, Conrad, we're going to throw it to you, good brother.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for that throwing out, Mr. Seko. This is I, Conrad Shesviner, and fixing my mic here. I am on Virginia Beach's ballot. I'm running for the Rose Hall City Council seat. I want action on City Council, fixing flooding faster than the 15 years with my federal, state, and city goals. I want HRT to be made into a rapid bus transit system. I want to encourage better Virginia Beach social equity from the bottom up, tackling issues found in education, housing so affordable even service industry employees can live here, boosting business startups with an underlying effort for minority communities, and the mantelpiece, reforming police budgets, traffic stops, police training, eliminating qualified immunity, and creating the strongest citizens review board in the state. I'm a member of the Virginia Beach Democratic Committee. They recommend me for the seat. And remember, voting is already taking place at the Virginia Beach Registrar's office, also at the Bayside Rec Center, the SeaTac Rec Center, the Great Neck Rec Center, and Kempsville's Treasurer's office. So go get yourself a blue sample ballot, read it over, and then go vote. And for tonight's main treat, tonight's Beach Brothers Show guest knows a thing or two about being a progressive battling with both centrist Democrats and the Republican Party. She's Virginia Delegate Elizabeth Guzmán, in her second term as delegate representing Prince William and Farquhar counties. Hailing from Callao, the Port District of Lima, Peru, Delegate Guzmán immigrated to the U.S. and became a social worker. She settled in the Old Dominion, at times working 3 jobs to afford a 1-bedroom apartment for her and her daughter. She attended Northern Virginia Community College, Capella University, American University, and the University of Southern California. In 2017's Blue Wave election, Guzmán joined Hala Ayala and Virginia Beach's own Kelly Fowler to be the first Hispanic woman in the Virginia General Assembly. on October 5th, she formally announced she will be running for the Democrat nomination to Virginia's lieutenant governor seat in the 2021 cycle. So we will thank the delegate for coming over to the 757 side of Virginia and to the Beach Brothers show. And we'd love to start off by asking her, what made you decide to run for lieutenant governor, and what distinguishes you from the other candidates?
Well, I'm sure she would have a great answer for that. We're still waiting for Delegate Guzmán to join us. Donde va? Oh man. So Jose, maybe you need to say to her, where can we find you, delegate? Where are you?
¿A dónde estás?
All right, well, that's what's up. Well, Katie Baker says she's about to get on, so bringing her to the stage. She just wanted a drum roll. So let's make a drum roll for her. Delegate Guzmán. All right.
Oh, good evening.
Good stuff. Let's jump right to the first question. Conrad, if you can repeat the first question, I'm sure she can jump right on into it.
What made you decide to run for lieutenant governor, and what distinguishes you from the other candidates?
Oh, well, very good questions. Good evening to the Virginia Beach Brothers. It is an honor to be here. I would say that first and foremost, I see the job of the lieutenant governor as a promotion for a successful legislator. And I will make my case to the voters that I have earned that promotion. I have been able to pass legislation in both Republican and Democratic majorities. I have carried historic legislation to lift the Virginians' a collective bargaining ban so that we are giving our public sector workers a voice on the job. As a union sister myself, I carry a bill to raise the age at which minors are tried as adults from 14 to 16 years old. And these are issues that have not been touched in the past in the Virginia Assembly. So these are issues that I champion. I, chief co-patron myself, I introduced him and I passed. I fought for a couple of them in a Republican majority, but then with a Democratic majority, I was able to deliver. And I think, that in the Senate, we need more progressive voices. We need the fighter for the working class there. And we have seen too many progressive bills that either get watered down or killed in the Senate. So I am going to definitely be the voice of the voiceless, which is the working class right now in the Senate. And it's good that Virginia is #1 for business, but it is not good that we are last for workers. So I want to make sure that I am going to bring those voices to the Senate, and I will make my case once again. I think that it's important to have a person that he can hit the ground running since day one. And as being the first woman to hold that position and a woman of color and the first Latinx candidate running statewide, well, I'll definitely will make my case.
Awesome. Bienvenida.
Gracias.
My question,
oh my God, look at that.
My question to you. You were first elected in 2017, sworn in 2018. When would you say did you get your political start and how?
Well, I would say that I started my political life as an activist. I live in Prince William County, which was the first locality that had a 287G agreement. I don't know if you guys remember Corey Stewart, who was the opponent from Senator Tim Kaine last year, the Republican nominee, is my constituent. He lives in my district. So I think I got involved then, when people who look like me were targeted by law enforcement. And I realized that my community needed to be empowered, needed to be part of the process. I remember my daughter being afraid one day coming from school crying because she thought that I would be deported just because her classmate parents were being deported. And I had to explain to her the difference between being documented and undocumented. And I would tell you that she understood. However, she knew that day that she was not an American, and that is something that she had to put up with for the rest of her life. And it took her years to acknowledge that. After that, I remember Tim Kaine coming to Prince William County and being able to fight against this issue and stand up with the Latinx community here in Prince William County. Then in 2016, I supported Senator Bernie Sanders in the presidential primary. And then after that, I did everything that I could to get Hillary Clinton elected, but that did not happen. And, and then my children again, my son was telling me after when Trump won, was telling me, Mom, we need to leave this country because Donald Trump does not like people who speak Spanish. And I said, no, that's when I decided, make the decision formally to run for office, because I didn't want my children to feel less of an American just because they were brown or the last name was Guzmán. So decided to run for office, flip a seat that was Republican for 26 years by campaigning in every single corner in my district, and sit at the chair of public safety and militia and the vice chair of appropriations. And then, after that, I was elected the president of the freshman class of 2017, which was the most diverse class of delegates in Virginia's history. And now I'm the vice chair of education. I'm the chair of social services. I serve in the Labor and Commerce Committee as the Labor Vice Chair, Subcommittee Chair. So I think that, and then I was the Bernie Sanders Virginia co-chair, and now I'm currently serving in the national, leadership Latino Council for Vice President Biden and Kamala Harris campaign. So that's about me, in a nutshell. I came from an activist to a volunteer in the Democratic Party, then a delegate, and now running for lieutenant governor.
Unmute myself here. Now, I was saying that's a very impressive resume, and my follow-up question is kind of layered. My favorite candidate of the primary cycle regarding the topic of immigration was Julian Castro, because he wanted to repeal Section 1325 of Title 8 of the U.S. Criminal Code, therefore decriminalizing non-citizen entry to the U.S. You immigrated here from Peru. Can you tell us a little about your specific journey to America and how you measure it against your stance on the immigration system?
Well, I would start by saying that America was a nation of immigrants. If we want to go back to history and see who were the first, citizens of America, those people were the Native Americans who actually look like me, and then America was built by immigrants. So I would say that many people who come to this country come looking for opportunities, looking for a better future, like myself. I came here because my parents couldn't afford to send me to college, and public colleges had a strong communist influence in Peru. I actually had a couple of my high school classmates killed by the Fujimori regime in Peru. So I realized that I needed to be here if I want a different future for my family. And I think that pursuing a better life for you and your family is not a crime. These people are coming here for a better future for their family as well. And I think that we have to provide a pathway to immigration reform that recognizes the contributions that undocumented workers have made throughout this pandemic or all the time, who have kept us running during this pandemic. We need, and that's why I'm so excited to be part of the conversations of building an agenda for Vice President Biden, because he also wanted to get rid of the public charge rule. We are in a pandemic, and there are also people who aren't applying for Medicaid because they're afraid that getting health care will affect their chances of getting permanent residence. The reality is that we are losing lives. People are dying for not having access to health insurance. So I would say it's the right thing to do for those immigrants who are behaving, who are not criminals, and they are I'm sure there's going to be a way to, they have to pay taxes as well. And I'm here to tell you that it's the right thing to do. They are contributing to the economy, and that's the way to move forward.
Interesting, intriguing. We'll have to talk more about your journeys from Peru. I used to study music with a guy from Lima, and we always talked about me traveling to Lima to kind of study some of the Afro-Peruvian culture. And so I can't wait to go at some point. I look forward to talking to you more about it.
Have you danced the Afro music in Peru?
I have.
Okay,
I used to.
good. So we need to see in person, and I challenge you for a dance.
All right. Well, I'll tell you already. You're winning. You know, this is the year that women are winning, so I'm going to let you win. All right.
Oh, thank you, Seko. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, in 2018, speaking of Spanish things, you gave the response to the State of the Union address in Spanish. So, you know, kind of discuss that experience. What was that like?
Well, I would say that it's something that I will remember for the rest of my life. Having the honor to do that, it was something that I thought about in the future. I did not realize that it's something that is going to happen that fast. When the minority leader, David Toscano, then sent me an email saying that Nancy Pelosi wanted to talk to me. To be honest with you, it was the first year where Trump was in office. And I thought that what they wanted is maybe she wanted to know about, the dreamers, whether immigration reform, what should we do for the dreamers, that she maybe had a question about a policy issue. But then she said the Democrats in the House of Representatives voted unanimously to selected me as the person who's going to deliver the Spanish language, the State of the Union rebuttal in Spanish. I said, wow, I couldn't believe it. To be honest with you, I had to pause and I'm like, is this true? Are you sure you're reaching out to the right person? And she said, how do you know about me? Well, we have seen you in the campaign trail and you have made history. You have worked extremely hard, outworked your opponent, did what you were supposed to do to get elected. And I said, well, I then immediately say yes, but I had one condition, because I didn't want to translate what Representative Kennedy wanted to do that day. I didn't want to be a translation. I said that I would do it, but as long as I will write it myself. So I worked for a team in a draft, and it was important for me to use simple language so that children of immigrants whose first language might be English could understand. It was, once again, it was a tremendous honor to be able to talk to my community in their language, to tell them that this was their country too. And, and after that, we have a lot of Latinos running for office. Latinos have decided the election in many states. Like, for example, we had Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, or we had Latina representatives in Texas in 2018, or a Latina representative in and these were all Democrats, and then in Florida as well. So I think when I first ran for office, to be honest with you, I was told that the Latinx community doesn't vote. And now I just got a bilingual piece of mail from the Biden campaign featuring Barack Obama addressed to my daughter. So I literally had tears coming out of my eyes, because it's a dream that has come true, that we are valuing every single vote, and we had to engage these communities that have been disenfranchised for so long, because that's the way that we're gonna have a Democratic majority for many years to come. And as long as we fight for things that we care about the most, and we are unapologetic about it, we will have more years of a trifecta enrichment.
I like that term, unapologetic. Let's hear a little bit of that little talk. Let's hear a little bit of it, if we can get past the commercials.
amenaza con arrastrar nuestra nación a un pasado vergonzoso, en el cual nuestro pueblo fue juzgado no por la calidad de su carácter, sino por el color de su piel y por sus creencias.
So how did people respond to you afterwards? I mean, it was a great honor. You said that people could understand the Latinx and the Spanish-speaking community embraced it, but how did others respond to that? It's kind of interesting.
Well, I would say that you mean other races, right, outside of the Latinx community?
Just non-Spanish speaking people or people who've been here for decades,
Well,
how did the outside community respond to it?
I think, they knew that it was me. It was my first year in Richmond, and I had all of the delegates on the Republican side and on the Senate coming and greeting me and congratulating me. Great opportunity, congratulations. It's an honor. And I think they took it from a way that it was someone from Virginia who had the honor to do that. I'm not sure who else have done it in Virginia before, but I can find out that information. But I think people were excited, that there was someone from Virginia who could represent and at the national level, in the national stage. And I didn't have any negative responses. I would say, oh my God, after these Republicans hear what I said on TV, they're probably going to translate it and come and get me next day. They didn't react against me either, and they didn't call me out for what I said. As a matter of fact, many of them shook my hand and said congratulations.
Awesome.
No negative feedback. And then from the Latino community, I think I got hundreds of emails from every corner in the country of moms and teenagers saying that they see me, and when they see me, they saw hope, and they were inspired to register to vote and participate in the elections in years to come. So that was moving for me.
That's awesome. Okay. Now there may be a national blue wave in 2020, and in 2019, Virginia's blue wave took control of the General Assembly. And let's compare it to the energy of the 2017 blue wave, where Republicans still had the majority. Was serving after that frustrating? Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Well, I had an exciting year where I passed more than 16 bills on a regular session. So I think when I stop now and think about it, it seems like it was a long, long time ago. I would say that I was one of the only Democrats who passed legislation under Republican majority. Because I was there to work. I was not there to fulfill anyone's agenda other than my constituents' agenda. And they voted for me, and I had to make my case to Republicans that the issues that I was fighting for were issues that were important to my constituents and their constituents as well. It was surprising, I would say, that they would just kill your bills because you were a Democrat. And that was shocking to me. And it was frustrating. I'm not going to lie. I had to just, after being frustrated, I had to go back to my hotel, think about it, do some meditation, and said, you know what? I had to recommit myself I committed myself to my constituents. I said I would be here to fight for the things that I promised them and I would fight for. And I'm coming back tomorrow. And I'm going to continue to fight for those. We were able to get Medicaid expansion, and I think that was because we were able to get Republican votes because of the amount of seats that they lost. And many of those people those representatives who lost were those who were against Medicaid expansion. Getting access to affordable health care to 400,000 people was what Virginians wanted. I also, was the first legislator in 2018 who presented a bill to fight for more early childhood education system, more school counselors in the public education system, and common sense can reform. A few months later, Republicans created the School Safety Committee. And they put as a #1 priority having more school counselors in the schools. Of course, they didn't give me any credit, and they thought that it was their idea, but it was my idea in 2018, actually, during the first session. So, but you know what? When I thought about it, of how they were voting against people's will, I got Republicans on the record for being opposed to workers, for being opposed to women's, for being opposed public education and the environment. And I think that was very helpful toward winning the majority in 2019. You know, when we had the tragedy in Virginia Beach, even the GOP didn't want to do anything, you know, and they were in control of the chamber. And the governor called for a special session. So, you know, I remember I was interviewed by a reporter that day, and I said, what do you think about Republicans not listening to the bills that will address common sense gun reform? I said, there is an election have consequences, and they will pay that price. And guess what happened? Virginians gave us a majority, and we got it done. And that's how we got our majority in 2019, because they couldn't support things that their constituents want.
In 2019, Elizabeth Warren endorsed your re-election bid. And in 2020, you and Delegate Carter chaired the presidential campaign of Bernie Sanders here in Virginia. After Bernie bowed out, you moved on to endorse Joe Biden and are now on Biden's Latino Leadership Council. What would you say to your fellow Bernie-crats who might be thinking about sitting out this election?
Oh, no. No one needs to sit out on this election. I would tell them that the options are very clear. There are two candidates on the ballot. We are either going to vote for someone who neglected us through this pandemic, who separated families at the border, who disrespected people who are fighting for our country, who failed to acknowledge that there is systemic racism in this country. Or we elect Vice President Biden, who is a Democratic nominee and has a plan. Value the military service, making the time to address their issues of the issues of people of color, and addressing that we are so diverse, and diversity makes this country stronger. And that's why he has, you know, an agenda for every single community. So to all of the Bernie supporters, all Warren supporters, all Andrew Yang, Julian Castro supporters, and everyone, this is the election of our time, and we need to save our country. And we would also say that I believe in the primary process. I was a Democrat, you know, I've been a Democrat since I became naturalized. And this is how democracy works. You know, we can hold our elected officials accountable and push them to be more progressive once they are in office. And that's exactly happened. You know, you have seen how the Republican Party has been calling Vice President Biden socialist or communist or whatever. But sitting this election out is essentially a vote for Donald Trump. So I would tell everyone, you can vote early this election, no excuse, thanks to a Democratic majority. Make your voices heard, get out and vote now. When we vote, we win.
Okay. One of the Beach Brothers show top viewers, Robert Crawford, is quite interested in strengthening labor in this country. We understand you are a union sister. Can you tell us a little bit about your collective bargaining bill and what that means?
Oh, thank you. Well, to my, I'm a second generation union sister. And actually my daughter is an SEIU member now. So it's multi-generational in my family. And that's a conversation that I have with my children, because unions are great. You know, I would say that they were gonna fight for to have better benefits, to have better work conditions, to have a voice at the table. And that's what unions fight for. The House passed my bill that could have given public sector workers like teachers and firefighters at both at the state and local level the freedom to form a union and collectively bargain. The Senate, unfortunately, watered down my bill, but it still leaves the ban on collective bargaining at the local level. So localities can opt in to allow collective bargaining. So for those candidates who are running for office, that's something that Democrats will believe in. We have to remember that unions built the Democratic Party, and it's going to take unions to rebuild it. So this was a historic bill. Virginia was only one of the only 3 states in the nation to have such a ban. The other 2 were North Carolina and South Carolina. So you can see how this ban is a vestige of Jim Crow. My bill gives our workers a seat at the table. This is the first principle of good management. In the private sector, we have heard about the most common practices. You have to give your workers a seat at the table so they can tell you what is working and what is not working. And that's what this bill is about. And I remember an Ohio law professor said that my bill would lift the spirits of labor in the United States. And now, listen, we have also a candidate, Vice President Biden, who has an agenda as well for unions. He's gonna, allow individuals in the public sector to collectively bargain as well. And it's gonna be the law if he gets elected. So it's something that is historic, and I'm very proud that I was able to champion that issue. That's one of the issues that was never discussed in the Virginia Assembly until we got there.
Beautiful, beautiful. I just wanted to highlight your Facebook page, Elizabeth Guzmán for Lieutenant Governor. That's interesting. I wanted to also push back a little bit. You mentioned that there are 2 distinct choices, but there are actually 3 people who are actually on all the ballots in the 50 states. And I wonder how or why the libertarian candidates and some of the other types of candidates don't even get mentioned by the Democrats or the Republicans. Are these things that it just kind of is intriguing to me, particularly because one of the people running for the president of the United States currently is Jo Jorgensen. She's actually on all 50, the ballots on all 50 states. And then there's a lady named Jade Simmons, who's an independent candidate who's running for the president of the United States. But neither one of them are part of the major parties, the Democrats or the Republicans. I think it's kind of interesting, particularly when you see that we have a Democratic ticket with a woman who could be the first woman vice president of the United States. And we have 2 women at the same time who are pushing to become, the president of the United States. Of course, they're not major party. They're not Democrats or Republicans. But it's interesting that people really are pushing to do some different things in our country. They're pushing to make great change in our country. And you're one of the great champions for change. You've talked about your efforts to pass, sick days, paid quarantine leave, and removing the farm worker exemption from minimum wage law. So talk to us about those efforts and some of the other strong efforts that you've done as a delegate.
Well, thank you. Very good question, and I would say that unfortunately to your comments earlier, right now we are living in a polarized environment, right? Where we talk, you are a Democrat or you are a Republican. And those are the things that in my district, I have changed. When I talk to voters at the doors, I talk about the issues. I talk about the issues that matter to them the most. I don't go in there and I'm the candidate. Yes, I'm a proud Democrat and but at the same time, I wanted to engage in conversations because if we wanted to grow as a country, we need to respect each other and we need to be willing to listen to those who disagree with us. And I did that as a legislator. I do that as a candidate. As a legislator, the Republicans in your area, Virginia Beach, could tell you that I reach out to their offices to talk about my bills. When I'm in my district, I hold town halls that are not partisan. I put it on the webpage. I sent an invitation letter to all of my constituents, to those who choose to participate. And that's just because after you are elected to represent all of the voters, not only those who voted for you. right? So I think that's something that we have to do more. But as long as everyone is treated with respect, everyone is treated with dignity, right? Because we're not going to tolerate any type of disrespect or anything like that. And when that happens, well, I just walked away. But actually talking about paid sick days, it's something that is personal to me. As I was sharing earlier, I am an immigrant and I had 3 jobs to make ends meet when I got to this country, and I had no benefits. So I had to make the difficult decision of leaving my child at home sick because I couldn't afford a smaller paycheck. And that is still really the reality of many Virginians. When I was knocking on doors, and when I was knocking on doors, I saw so many children by themselves on the weekends. And when I asked them about their parents, they're at work. So people in Virginia are still having more than one job, many people. And who suffers? The children, right? Because they don't have enough supervision. But then I was talking to another gentleman while I was knocking on doors. And he said, Elizabeth, if there's something that you could do for me, please fight for paid sick days. I'm in a situation where in the country, you are forced to have health insurance. And if you don't, you have to pay a fine. And I'm thankful that I'm able to get insurance through Obamacare. However, if my employer doesn't give me any type of paid time off, then I cannot use it. So I am paying for for a service that I am not using because my employer does not provide with paid time off. And then I learned that it was not unique to him, that there is actually 1.2 million Virginians that do not have access to any kind of paid leave. No one not have to choose between their community's health and a paycheck. And, and that's what I've been fighting for since I was elected. We know that, through this pandemic and all the time, Black and brown people have gotten sick at higher rates. We've been hospitalized at higher rates. We've been killed at higher rates. 8 out of 10 COVID cases, for example, in Richmond, are Black or Latinx people, and it's the same case in Hampton Roads. So, and when we are seeing those people of color who are the frontline workers during this pandemic, who are getting sick at work, and these are the heroes who kept this country running in a pandemic. They prepared our food and took care of our children and cleaned our buildings, and they went to work so that we could eat, so that we could live. So if we are serious about stopping the spread of coronavirus, we must pass a paid sick days legislation. And my quarantine paid bill died in the Senate during the special session, so I don't even want to get there. But if we can pass this bill during this pandemic, when will we ever listen to the 8 out of 10 Virginians who want paid sick days? So I think it's the right thing to do. I think it's not an anti-business policies, because actually good businesses already offer paid time off. And this bill is going to be about if you are not offering any type of paid time off to your employees must deserve at least 1 week off, so they can go to the doctor themselves, so they can take their children, or they can take their parents or their wives, and this is what we talk about. Farm workers came and talked to me in their language about their working conditions in the Eastern Shore area and how they didn't even get water breaks. So it hurt me to watch the Senate killing my bill, because this is people who look like me. And what I want to tell, the listeners and people or the viewers tonight is that I will not stop the fight. And that's one of the reasons why I'm running for lieutenant governor, because I think that the working people are voiceless right now in the Senate, and I want to be that voice.
Awesome. Now, you happen to be one of the founders of Virginia's Green New Deal. Can you tell me a little bit about your work on environmental issues and how they only improve with you as lieutenant governor?
Well, thank you. As you mentioned, I'm founder of the Virginia Green New Deal Coalition. And I was proud of my work to pass a Green New Deal priority this year. I'm actually one of the few legislators that was able to deliver on the priorities that the Green New Deal coalition had. It was the transit-oriented development bill. So now localities, when they prepare their comprehensive plans, they are going to include not only, development, but they have to take into consideration public transportation. They have to take into consideration affordable housing, because we need all of those systems in place if we wanted to protect the environment. I also passed another legislation that it was the PFAS bill. This substance, it's in the waterworks in Virginia. So we're gonna do a study that we're gonna study this substance, because this could actually cause cancer if you drink that water. I also introduced legislation to ban plastic bags, and I think this was a bill that I was inspired by my son, when he said, "Mommy, you are a legislator. So if we want to save turtles, why don't you go ahead and ban these plastic bags, because they end up on the watershed and in the ocean, and then these animals die." I was able to get an A+ rating from the Sierra Club, and I've been the legislator champion on the Sierra Club in 2018. In 2019, I've been the legislative leader by the League of Conservation Voters. I passed a climate emergency resolution where it states that Virginia is going to be the first state to declare that there is a climate emergency and that we need to act now. And, and I was able to pass, because I was not a patron of the Green New Deal resolution in the House of Delegates in Virginia. But I introduced that resolution at the national level, because I also serve as the chair for the Southern region for the National Hispanic Caucus of State Legislators, where I am the chair to represent 11 states in the country. And I was able to pass the Green New Deal resolution at the national level, and I was able to get Republican support. So I also voted for Cliff Hayes' bill to allow localities to regulate floodplains. And I am the co-patron of Mark Kim's bill to ban offshore drilling. That is very important in your area.
I'm going to try and condense the show a little bit to make sure we're all good on time. And the last question tonight, we just want to make sure, what is good in Virginia to you? What do you really like about Virginia businesses and places and people?
Well, I think when I ran in 2017, when I was campaigning with Governor Northam, we said that we wanted to fight for a Virginia where diversity was embraced and was not disrespected. Virginia has been my home since I got here. I live here for over 2 decades, but experiencing discrimination myself in Prince William County shouldn't be the norm in this country. Black Lives Matter, and Breonna Taylor deserves justice. So I think that there are certain systemic problems that we need to address. But I like Virginia's, diversity. I like that you can enjoy the different weathers, that you can get to experience the spring, the summer, the fall and the winter. I like, as I said, the diversity. I like the schools. We are making huge investments in public education, and just serving as the vice chair of education in the General Assembly, and being part of that change after public education was defunded for 26 years under a Republican majority is very important. And I wanted to fight for a better Virginian, so my children could stay here and they don't have to go to another state. But that is going to depend, and also so as your children and your grandchildren. If we want generations to come to get established in Virginia and choose Virginia to form a family, then we need to create a space where everyone is respected, regardless of the color of your skin, regardless of where you were born, regardless of your immigration status, regardless of who you love. And that's the Virginia that I see moving forward, and I want to be the Virginia way.
I'm impressed. Virginia way.
Thank you.
Good stuff. 2 up and 2 down for VA. That little hip hop lingo. That's what's up. All right. I'm impressed. Yeah, let's talk on some more, because you have some great plans for the great state of Virginia, and it looks like you've already put in the work. You've done some great strides and moved the needle forward towards greater equity and improved conditions for all Virginians. So Virginia loves you for that. And hopefully you love Virginia back.
Yes, I do. Virginia is for lovers, so we need to love each other.
Yeah, it is.
There you go.
I say on that. Conrad, any last words?
I'd just like to thank Delegate Guzmán for coming on. I would like to think that you come on sometime in the future. We could ask as many questions as you'd like.
All right. Please, Conrad for City Council. There's an important election. Don't forget about those races down the ballot. They are very important.
Yes,
there is so many things that we could do at the state level, but we also need to have voices in the local level. And the local level includes the city council. It includes also the school board members. I know the Virginia Beach City Council, we are fighting to have more representation. So let's get out and win and deliver every single race up and down the ballot.
There you go. Unmute yourself, brother.
Okay, sorry about that. I was saying, any last words, Jose, before we let Delegata Elizabeth Guzmán go?
I love it. I want to be back already. And the challenge is up, guys. We said that we're going to dance Afro Peruvian music.
There you go.
I'm with that. Any last words, Jose?
Conrad, I don't know about you, but I can't wait to see that dance. Other than that, it was a pleasure to have you on the show. We welcome you, like Conrad said, to come back anytime, please. And we wish you guys both the best in the election. You know, we'll be there supporting both of you.
Thank you. You know, we first have to this November 3rd, we have to elect Conrad, and then we will have the primaries next year in June. And I look forward to be in your area virtually or personally, because this campaign is going to be about reaching every Virginia in every zip code. So, and that's what I did. I represent Virginia also at the DNC level, and I campaign, you know, virtually in every congressional district. And that's what I'm planning to do as well as a candidate for lieutenant governor. So we can have, you know, the first woman and the first Latina to serve on this role. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So, hey, check out our Facebook page, Elizabeth Guzmán for Lieutenant Governor. That's Guzmán for Lieutenant Governor. That has a nice feel to it. Guzmán for Lieutenant Governor. All right.
It's okay, you know. Yeah, no, it's fine. I just don't mind. I think we Latinos just, I mean, as long as you, we're not picky, you know. It's just say it the way you want it. As long as it's now it's me and you're not talking about any other candidate, I'm fine with it.
Hey, say what you want, just spell my name right on the checks. Understood.
Yeah, I mark correctly in the primaries, you know, Elizabeth Guzmán for Lieutenant Governor.
Perfect. Perfecto. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging out with the Beach Brothers Show. You know, we had a great guest. Check out her Facebook page, see what she's doing. Are you on Twitter as well?
Yes, I am on Twitter as well.
Okay. IG, are you on Instagram?
Yes, I'm on Instagram as well. Elizabeth Guzmán.
Okay, she's on IG, she's on Facebook,
and really soon in TikTok as well. I just need to get better. My children are teaching me.
Cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a great night, and we're out of here. Oh, before we go, Conrad, your commercial. We gotta say shouts out to Southern Greenbrier Volkswagen, right?
Indeed, that's the best car you can have and drive around here in Hampton Roads. Southern Volkswagen, 1248 South Military Highway. Stop in, see Cynthia Rawlings and Charlie Roy. Pick you up a nice around the 757 car.
There you go.
All right, and you know what time it is. tallyandtwine.com. Yes, that's tallyandtwine.com, where you can find beautiful watches for men and for women, made here in the United States, made here in the great state of Virginia, made in Portsmouth, Virginia. That's right, made in America, made in Virginia, and made in Portsmouth. tallyandtwine.com. Great watches for the men. Look at these beautiful watches. Aren't they nice, masculine, really attractive? And these sexy watches for our beautiful ladies. tallyandtwine.com. This is my favorite watch. This is the watch I personally own. tallyandtwine.com, made in Virginia, made in America. It's time for you to get a high quality watch from